Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. I am so thrilled to be here with Joy Loverode. Did I say that properly?
Loverode, it was very close.
Okay, very close. I gave it my best. We had a great conversation just now before we went live on the air, and we're going to share some of the fun parts of that with you. But you really want to listen to this interview with Joy because she is the author of a book that poses a question that everyone on the planet will ask at some point in their life, and that is, who will take care of me when I'm old? Joy, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so delighted. Thank you.
Yeah, would you tell our audience a little bit about you, what you do, who you are? And we always ask that you talk about what got you into doing what you're doing.
Well, I'll start there. So I was in high school and went to an all-girls Catholic high school in Chicago, which is where I live. And the nun from the homeroom came walking in the door and she said, "Who's going to the nursing home with me on Thanksgiving morning?" And it was a volunteer thing. So I rose, I said, okay, I'll do it because I needed extra credit. So little did I know that would be the very thing that I would be doing for the rest of my life. This was a long time ago. This was over 40 years ago. And what I saw on Thanksgiving morning astounded me. I said, why are these people alone, and where are their families? Wow. So that started the question of who will take care of me when I'm old. But what happened before that is I realized it was us family members that had to consider talking to our parents and our grandparents about the future. So my first book was actually and is called The Complete Eldercare Planner. And that's the book about talking to parents about all the things for the future. The second book, Who Will Take Care of Me When I'm Old, is all about us.
All about us, the individual.
Right. All of us. So we ask the question for ourselves. Who will take care of me when I'm old? And the whole world's changed, hasn't it? It's just a totally different world. And so many people are aging solo. We've got to ask this question.
Yeah, solo. Solo is right. And families that have dispersed across the country, across the world, who aren't necessarily here to take care of us and help us, and may not have insight into what's going on in our lives because they're not here on a regular basis, right? I know my parents held back. That our audience knows pretty well by now but my mom had Alzheimer's. My dad was in assisted living with mostly just health and mobility issues. And both of them, before that happened, they really held back and hid a lot of things that were going on. So I find that interesting.
What in particular did they hold back that was the worst thing they could have held back for you? What did you wish you had access to?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm usually asking the questions.
I know, but I can't help myself.
No, I love it. This is perfect. So if I really think about that, I would say knowing that they needed more daily help would have been great. And that's not a specific question. Here's this one thing that keeps coming to me. Every time my brothers and I would go visit, we would have to throw out a bunch of food because it had spoiled, it was way expired, etc. So I think that I was fortunate in that my dad didn't have cognitive issues, so he was able to report on what was happening with mom, like when she'd cook pancakes and then put them in the blender, and think that was normal. We got those reports, but I think neither of them really wanted us to know that driving was an issue. That, working through their finances was an issue. They had enough money, but just managing their finances was an issue. And daily life was getting harder for them.
Yeah. Well, it is inevitable. It's not if, but when. In my case, even though my mom was extremely healthy all her life, she was in her 90s when she died. So she was still independent, but yet there were things that it took a little coaching and trust, a lot of trust, to have her finally say, yes, I could use a little help with you taking a look at my mail, for instance, and making sure it's something that's important versus something where somebody's trying to scam me. So we really, everybody just needs to figure out a way to get in the door and to just see if they will allow us to inch in. The biggest mistake people make is they come barging in and say, okay, we got to talk about the future right now and all that stuff. And that's so scary. You can't do that.
You really hit the nail on the head with that it's as the adult children or that persona, right? The person who's coming in to kind of say, hey, I'm noticing things aren't going so well. Let's talk. We tend to want to, because we have busy lives. We talked about this on another podcast too. There's this idea that we come in over a weekend and we fix everything, right? Because we can only be there Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to come in, we're going to fix everything, and then we're going to go back to our life. And that's just not how it works. But I want to touch on something else. I really want to draw out something that you said. If we can get one tangible thing, just one tangible thing to kind of get in there and help our parents learn that we are trustworthy, that we're doing it out of love, that we're there to help. And it's not that I think our parents don't think we're trustworthy, but I know my parents definitely had the opinion that if they leaned on us, they were being a burden to us. Right. And so all the psychology behind their mental state of, I've been independent my whole life. I'm not going into a nursing home the way my parents did. I can't lean on my kids. They have busy lives and kids of their own, and I don't want to be a burden. So I'm just going to sit here and let this get worse and worse. And I'm not going to talk to anyone.
So what you're describing is this real interesting relationship that is parent and child. And a parent is not supposed to be a burden. The child is supposed to be asking for help from the parent and not the other way around. And it really, we can sustain that as a healthy guideline if we know how to ask questions. So the future isn't all about doom and gloom. It's absolutely not about that at all.
I agree.
It's all about, like, where do you want to live and what do you want to be doing? And do you have enough money to do that? And how can we facilitate your success? But what is it that what kids do mostly is they come in and they say the C word, the care word. It's like, I don't want to talk about the care. I want to talk about the love that is existing between us as parents and children. That's when you say we're going to get this done over the weekend. Really, it's not going to happen like that. What you could do on Saturday and Sunday is take them out to the ball game or take them out to dinner and have a great time. And then on Monday, say something like, hey, Mom, I noticed that you were having a little difficulty when we were together trying to cook for all of us. Is everything okay? So really just be together and enjoy each other. Get that. You said the word trust. That's the magic formula, but it doesn't happen. It's not something that happens automatically. I don't care if you're the child or the parent. That isn't an automatic thing. So the best thing is to go there on Saturday and Sunday and have a great time. But keep your eyes open. And then on Monday or Tuesday, say, oh, God, I couldn't sleep last night. I was just thinking about something that you said or something that you did. Can we talk about it? How about that?
I love this. This is such a great conversation because it's very hard when you're that adult child. And I have talked to enough of the adult children out there who are in that boat, right? To know that this is very common. There's the guilt, there's the relief, there's the, what do I do? The exasperation, there's the fear that they're going to fall, that, there's something bad is going to happen. And what you're suggesting is just a very minor change in the tactical approach rather than tactically going there. Like we had to drive about an hour. So it was, it was not a long trip by any means, easy to get there, but it was something that we would plan. We would carpool down, we would plan the whole day with mom and dad. And I know that these are very common scenarios. And so the goal was very productivity driven rather than experience driven. And so what you're suggesting is we kind of shift that and make it all about the experience. One of the reasons I love that is we know we have limited time with people. And that's true of anyone in our life. So no one knows when we're not going to be here anymore. But when we know that we're probably in the last 10 years of somebody's life, we want to do everything we can to spend the time, the quality time that we can together.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about us being busy and planning to get something accomplished during a visit.
Yeah.
But that's really that can backfire so quickly because, like I said, we have to reestablish the trust in the relationship, and it's not automatic.
Yeah.
And so it's just hard. It's difficult, right? Because you're there and you're seeing it and like, oh my God, the place is the place is a disaster, and the food is there's stuff in the refrigerator that's still walking, and it's like, no, this can't happen. Yeah. So when you're there, it's just a very gentle approach. And I feel for the people who do live long distance, but this is something that can't be helped. It's interesting, though, a lot of people try to attempt the planning process over the phone. Well, that's really difficult. I mean, it's 10 times more difficult to accomplish. To be in person and to see how everyone is, and they can see how you are, is a better approach. Yeah. But, here's the other thing that scares most adult children, which is very legitimate, is the second book I wrote, Who Will Take Care of Me When I'm Old? Now you have the children who are looking at their parents, but now we have to do caregiving simultaneously so that we have to protect our own finances, and we have to figure out the best approach. How am I supposed to work and be there and doing this for everybody else? So who will take care of me when I'm old means that we're starting now. The caregiving never ends, by the way. If it's a parent, then it's a grandparent, then it's spouses, then it's siblings, then it's our best friends. Mm-hmm. The caregiving never ends. How do we do that while we're trying to take good care of ourselves and try to figure it all out? That's the new dilemma. That's what's very fresh and wasn't like that 30 years ago when our parents were relatively younger, and so were we. But now everybody shifted into old age together. And I mean just aging. Now we have different questions.
Definitely. And if I think about the idea of that has shifted even in the last 30 years, what are the major shifts that you've seen that have put us in this place? And what do you see going forward?
Well, the fact that at some point all of us will age solo is key, because we may find ourselves without people even behind us as our caregivers. So here we are possibly taking care of someone. We're possibly alone or going to be at some point if we last. And then many of us didn't have children, or we had one, right? So that where are the caregivers? The whole new scenario of caregiving is creating the kinds of systems and relationships that we're going to need in the future for us as we go forward in our caregiving responsibilities. I love the conversation we were having before we went on live when we were talking about technology. Now we really have to take a serious look at what does that mean? what do you mean? There's going to be cameras all over the place or what? But what I see are the wearables are going to be very important, just because we're going to have some kind of system for people to know where we are and if we're okay. Systems that communicate either with some place where they're watching over us and monitoring, but all these relationships take place now. We have to establish what are we looking forward to, and how will we shift into that as we're going forward for our own aging, even though we may be taking care of children and grandparents and parents all at the same time. So it's a big support thing going on here right now that's brand new in the world.
Yeah. So, and with technology, you mentioned cameras. That's always a fear when we say technology. There's a lot of people who say, I don't want Big Brother watching. I don't want, to anyone to know where I am like 24/7. I don't want to wear the wearables. We hear some of this, and this is the issue that we're facing. The industry itself, in order for the industry to run, there's not enough people there. We all know about the caregiver shortage.
We do.
And it's worldwide. So this is not a, something that's going to go away. We don't have enough people. So for care to continue to be able to be there for older adults as they age, we need technology to support and augment and create efficiencies for the business as it runs. And we need the older adults to be willing to work with technology, like some of the wearables, so that we know if somebody had a fall, we can get to them right away. And that's just one of many kinds of technologies. But that's a little bit of what's developing right now. And it's very interesting. It's an interesting time in this industry, isn't it?
It is. And the people that refuse to use cell phones and refuse to use computers, and it just boggles my mind. When I'm in the presence of someone like that, I say to them, and this might be helpful to people who are watching, think of it as electricity. Think of it of what it was like when the electric light bulb came on, and people probably said, no, that'll start a fire, or I don't want anything to do with that, And it was like, so the technology is everywhere. It's it's everywhere. And so it is like electricity. And you're just, again, inching people into a little bit, but the good news is they all got used to telemedicine right away, right? I mean, that was a given. The problem is if they didn't have somebody to help them, that was a problem. So what we saw as a society is that we better start looking around and helping those people get used to things that they were going like, no, because as we age, there will be things coming up that we won't necessarily know how to use or what it's for. And we will look to the other generations behind us to help us and say, just guide me along here. And that's a great gift to give all the generations. So we're looking forward and looking behind, and if there's one thing, we all just have to keep saying yes to technology, so that we're never in the place where we say, I don't want it, I don't need it, because it's just not true.
Really well said. And you brought in the multi-generational aspect of it. And when we think about who will take care of me when I'm old, that is going to include the younger generation coming up with new things. I mean, we're talking about space travel today that we were not talking about 10 years ago. So how quickly that has become a thing. And we don't know what's around the corner for senior care, which is what I love about it. We don't know what's going to come. We have kind of a blank canvas here. We know what exists today, but let's create on a blank canvas what systems, what things need to be in place to have people excited about aging, about it's okay to grow old. It's a wonderful thing, all the experience and all the stories and relationships and the rich life that you can share. And how do we create a future for people to live into?
You're reminding me of something very important that I hope people do for themselves, and that is to make friends with old people. And by old, I mean anybody 30 years or older than you. And they are so full of knowledge. And if you have problems, or if you're just fed up with this, that, and the other thing, they've seen it all. And to sit side by someone who is in their 80s and 90 and 100 years old, and to ask them, what would you do if you were me? Or what was it about a decision you made that you wish you hadn't done? How could you teach me? To be friends with an old person is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. They're full of knowledge and will calm you down when you think things couldn't get any crazier, and they do. You sit next to someone who has seen it all and been through it all, and they'll be a calming force in your life. That's not technology, but that sure is the next best thing. I have been around old people all my life. They have come to me, and I've gone to them, and together that's how we do life.
That's beautiful, Joy. Really, I hope everyone listening heard that. That is the call out. That is the action item that we're going to put forward from this interview, is make friends with someone who is 30 years or older than you, 30 years plus older than you. And share, ask questions, because things in humanity haven't changed. Love is still there. Life is still there. The ups and downs of life have always been the same. It's just we have new things, new ways of learning about them, or new technologies in some cases to manage them. But really, pain, love, joy, learning, those are all things that have always been there, and that's part of what can help calm us down if we speak with someone who's been through it.
The easiest way to do that is that, well, now I'm Italian, so what do you think I'm going to say? Share meals. It's so simple, but food is love. Food is family. It's that simple. Invite someone to share a meal with you in your home, on the back porch, in the park. Oh, just watch. It's magic. It's just magic.
That's wonderful. My mom was full-blooded Italian, so I'm half Italian. I didn't get the eat the lasagna gene for some reason. She made amazing lasagna, and I don't like lasagna. So
okay, I don't like garlic. I get it.
Oh, and I love garlic. Yeah. So this has just been an absolutely amazing conversation. I love our call to action from this. That just came out naturally, and that's fabulous. And I hope that everyone listening takes note of that. We'll post that also in our show notes. Joy, if people are interested in learning more about you or getting a hold of your book, how can they get a hold of you?
So my website is elderindustry, it's one word, .com. Very simple. Industry.com. And there's so much on my website. There's so many articles and all the interviews and blogs, you name it. There's a wealth of information out there. And my website's one of those that just is packed with information.
I love it. It's fantastic. And it is information packed, power packed. So go check it out. We'll post that link in our show notes. Joy, thank you so much for joining me from Chicago today. And as I mentioned, we have an event coming up in September. So for all you listeners, we have an event called collaborationinaging.com. Just go there. You'll get all the information. Please join us September 16th and 17th in Denver, Colorado. It's an in-person event. So Joy, hopefully we'll be able to bring you out for that as well. And I hope everybody has a fabulous day today. Make it a point to think about who in your life is 30 years older than you and go make friends with that person. Everyone, have a great day.